As a fan of the fantasy strategy game franchise Heroes of Might and Magic, I have followed it in a long time, and since I'm nearly finished with the 5th installment, I feel like I should honor it with a countdown of all 8 of the fractions. Because every fraction in Heroes of Might and Magic have their theme, style, and possibilities, which is amplified in Heroes of Might and Magic 5 by being split into races with different abilities. Now, I will be judging upon the hero's main abilities, the cities, the recruitable units in the cities, the castle abilities, and the impact on the story. Now let's begin. Honestly, I don't like the orcs very much. They are the only fraction in the entire roster that can't learn any combat magic at all. Instead, they use war cries, which complement the rage points of each friendly unit in combat. Alright, the rage points only amplify to all creatures of the stronghold, which enhances the unit's stats, but only as long as the hero uses war cry or the unit uses any other actions as side raiding or defend. And with the lack of shooters and flyers, it can become a pain in the ass if you didn't focus on upgrading war machines. The only shooter that doesn't use the first level stronghold goblins are the second level stronghold centaurs. And even the shamans use goblins to cast spells, so you can end up using a great deal of goblins in battle. Speaking of which, the goblins are probably the weakest of any unit, which with the lowest stats and no retaliation, which doesn't match the weight of their other units. And to top it all off, the unupgraded goblins have a chance to betray you if you lose too many troops, which is very easy for the melee units. Now for the story. The orcs' origin stories are pretty much like the creation of the Tolkien orcs, and the present story of the orcs are just a slave liberation to the point of being almost like Pocahontas. If I have to say some good things, it is that barbarians learn skills to weaken their opponent's spells, but if you go for that, you need to know your opponent's spell choice, which is impossible. Oh wait, good things. Another good thing is that you can see some Mongolian features to them, which make them more like barbarians and less like Indians, no offense, which is seen by the fact that the leaders are called Khan. Yeah. At some points, I'm sad that this fraction doesn't have more campaigns to it. The demon fraction serves as the game's main antagonists, as the demons try to escape the prison world of Sheol. For as it is,
they are only able to be in the world of Ashan for a short while, and as such, they have the ability to gate into Sheol to summon forth the demonic forces of the inferno itself.
Okay, Pain, I'll let you voice the segments in my top 10 dragons, but this is getting too far.
Woe to thee, for you stole my pride for that moment.
Yeah, okay, I understand. So how about we play a game after this so you can rage out?
Fine. See you later.
Okay, back to the other demons. They have the ability to summon more units to the battlefields of the units in the hero's army, but with a decrease in numbers of the summoned units by between 30 to 45% of the gating units, and they disappear after combat. And with abilities such as Mark of the Damned, which damages enemies during any active action, Hellfire, which lets the hero's units do additional fire damage in exchange for a few mana points, and Consume Corpse, which removes corpses from the battlefield and let you gain mana. The demon army is great to burn down the enemies, but then there's the units themselves, which are pretty weak and short-ranged, which with only one flyer, one shooter and one caster, sieges will mostly rely on gating. And with the only shooter only available as level 4 out of 7 units, and only casters and flyers at level 6 and 7, it can get problematic in sieges. And even normal combat, since only the level 3 Cerberuses of the base units have a good speed stat. But I still wish that we got more demon campaigns, because the only demon campaign we played, we didn't even have a demonic protagonist. Well, that was a spoiler. And now for the elves. These are really great, with a great focus on flyers both at level 1 and level 7. And amazing shooters and higher HP units. They are great in combat, and with hero abilities like imbue arrows, which bind spells to hero's attack so that the hero does both normal damage and magical damage or cursing attacks, makes them great. But some things still hold them back. The other hero abilities are more focused on specialized enemy types, with the Avengers, which make the hero pick its favorite enemies, which it does more damage to, and where the two other secondary elven abilities are a focused shot, which only strikes bonus attack damage on favorite enemies, or the rain of arrows, which only damages every favorite enemies on the battlefield. And I really don't like their personalities. The elves are depicted as the stereotypical dreamers and poets, where they live in the forest all of the time. I have met a lot of elves before, and no forest elf should be that weak and whimsical in their personality. I think that Acreal sums up my opinion of the elves very much.
Whimsical flower sniffers.
Now for more brutal elves. The Dungeon Dark Elves live in the dark underworld of Ashan and have an army to match. There are unfortunately only one flyer, but the shooters make up for that, especially the assassins with poisonous arrows. The unit's elves are either very quick walkers like the Blood Maidens and Lizard Riders, or brutal heavy walkers like the Minotaur or the Hydras. This combination makes them strategically flexible, but with the few flyers, you are mostly relying on the shooters and spells in sieges. And the Dark Elves have a great focus on the last one. The Dark Elves' primary skill, Irresistible Magic, negates magical resistance with 20 to 75%. One of the secondary skills gives the hero empowered versions of all damaging spells, tremendously increasing the damage, and with another secondary Dark Elf skill, Elemental Vision, the hero can see the unit's elements, so the hero can send the right units to attack or the right spell to give it additional damage, which will be tripled by the ultimate move. So by what you can hear of it, their personalities suggest that they are sadists. But as I know of Dark Elves, they are matriarchal. But here, it seems that that element doesn't apply. But for me, that doesn't matter, because they freaking white dinosaurs! That's right, these spellcasters are so cool that they write mutated Yoshis.
Holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur! Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Oh my fucking god, fucking god!
Yeah, we get it. Now for the controversial part. Some Heroes of Might and Magic 5 players consider the Necromancer faction to be the best. Here I might disagree. I see, yes, there are 3 flyers and 2 shooters, both as low level and as high level. They are immune to morale and dampens the morale of enemy living units. But the morale decrease doesn't do anything good if the enemy hero is high on morale, like if he has expert leadership or against other undead or mechanics. The walking units doesn't have a especially long range, and the no morale wouldn't have bothered me so much if there wasn't an ability that relies on good morale. The Necropolis units are pretty well varied, and with a lot of flyers the initiative is higher, but every stat except initiative is pretty low. So like demons, they must rely on numbers, but unlike demons, they can only get additional combat creatures after victory in battle against living creatures, as the Necromancer's main abilities only allows the hero to raise 20 to 50% of the fallen living creatures in combat, and only to what your dark points can afford it. Beat it, Markel! In the main game, the Necromancers are trying to seek world domination by corrupting the Griffin Empire. In Traps of the East, they are the upholders of balance and wants to banish the demons infesting the Empire. But does that mean that the Necromancers are bad? Not necessarily. They are excellent spellcasters, and with skills like Mark of the Necromancers, the hero gains mana as the selected unit gets damage, allowing the hero to regenerate mana in battle. And the Banshee Howl lowers morale and initiative even further. So the flying units and the dampening of enemy morale makes the undead fast-acting units, but the luck and morale damping of the friendly units and low stats makes them lower on this list. And of course, my screensaver from my most hated characters. And now for the dwarves. Close, just less Disney. The fortress dwarves are awesome. First, they mount bears and mammoths that can attack in combat. Second, they use runes in combat to give the friendly units temporary abilities that no spell can, like incorporeal and charge, besides normal magic. 3. They actually mount bears and mammoths that can attack in combat. Okay, that's just awesome. 4. There's a good balance between defenders, shooters and chargers. The combination of the units with defensive modes and chargers like the brawlers and the runes that can give them extraordinary abilities make a great army. And even when you attack the cities, which are literally called fortresses, they can create extra defense by summoning a combat-only extra unit of around 1,000 shield bearers. But as awesome as they are, they suffer from nearly the same problem as the Dark Elves. There are only shooters on low level and high level, and only one flyer. But also the rune ability takes resources, so the rune abilities are just as useful as you are resourceful. But in personality, I love the dwarves. They're taking things serious with the conflicts, but are still being optimistic and lighthearted. Well, at least Wolfstar is, whom is my favorite character in this game. Otherwise, they are also patriarchal, and together with the need for resources, it is 2 reasons why the dwarves and the dark elves wage war against each other. Strong in defense and in some extent attack, the dwarves are also for the strategic flexible who wants to keep it defensive. So I guess that was Meet the Dwarves. The wizards are the extreme magic users. The Academy Wizard's primary ability makes them able to create creature artifacts that enhances the unit's stats. One of the wizard's secondary abilities can make the hero consume the artifacts to heal and or resurrect some of the creatures in the unit. But their other primary abilities give the friendly units a chance to reflect damaging or cursing spells off themselves and onto another unit at random. And Mark of the Wizards make the wizard able to mark an enemy unit so that hero spells can either double effect or hit the target even as the spell are targeting another enemy unit. And with the ultimate skill, it gives the heroes access to every spell in the game. The hero becomes a power to be recognizing. But that isn't all. The creatures are also very well varied and extremely well placed. They are both shooters at level 1, 4 and 7, flyers at level 3 and 5, not to say that most of the creatures either are spellcasters in their own right or have some kind of magic immunity. Well, not as much magic immunity as the black dragons, mind you, but still so it have to be recognized. The wizards is story-wise both villains and heroes. They are considered godless by not having a dragon, and they have even been in contact and or cooperating with demons, like with the creation of the orcs. But they have also been helping fight the demons, like with the event at the Blood Moon Eclipse. But the things that hold the wizards back is that the wizards are extreme mana consumers, so you would be forced to get the mana regeneration ability just to keep up, and the flyers isn't very ranged. So if you have played the game, you would already know that number 1 is the Haven Knights. These are the most balanced of the fractions, with high level flyers, shooters on low and high level, and a charger with an amazing range. The arsenal is already there. They have good stats, great abilities, and the hero's main abilities increases the damage done in retaliation with 5 to 25%. The hero's secondary abilities are Benediction, which temporarily increases attack, defense, morale and initiative. Retaliation Strike, which links a hero's attack with a friendly unit's retaliation attack, and Expert Training, which make the price of training units cost 35% less. Which reminds me of the castle abilities, Training, which allows you to raise the level of one unit by 1 level, so you can get a bigger supply of the higher level units. Say, increase the level 1 peasant to level 2 archers. The knights are always on supporting the hero units and making them as strong as possible. And even in the story, they are interesting. They start out being the military strength of the lands and as the good center of the worshippers of the Dragon of Justice, Elra. But as the new queen Isabel gets tempted by a necromancer to resurrect her husband, and the original king turns to corruption means by the thought that she did it for the greater good. And in the expansions, the knights are being turned to being completely fanatic and cleansing the lands for demons in such a way that they can be compared to the Spanish Inquisition. And if story and creatures isn't enough, the city design and music is more than enough to satisfy the artistic way. And that's the list. So what do I think of the game itself? Well, in comparison to both Heroes of Might and Magic 3 and 4, the graphics are definitely improved, but only on some points, like the maps, the cities, and some of the effects and spell animations are good, but the character graphics and textures are not so good. Even though the coloring and designs are good, the graphics are still lagging, even though that it is a definite improvement. I also got the same problem with this game as I got with Neverwinter Nights 2, cause in the cutscenes where we see characters talk and we see their whole face, we don't really have a lot of mimic or lip movement, but besides that, the game looks gorgeous, with varied maps and city and creature designs. The gameplay is the usual strategic turn-based gameplay that is known from the rest of the franchise, but with some tweaks and turns, like the class system from 4 is removed in favor of race-based abilities and special abilities. But they have kept the hero's individual turn, but then added the weird system of initiative, which is weird when you compare it to the previous games. And when you are comparing the story also seems a little weaker than the others, but that is just a tweak. But one thing that is definitely fantastic is the music. The music is almost the Hunchback of Notre Dame standards, so awe-inspiring. Everything is such a treat to the ears. The characters are pretty much hit or miss for me, with only little to a backstory where I wish that there was more, also more than just the stereotypes.